DB Audio. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Nice. So, as always, let's take it back from when you guys first started. I know there's not really that much of a history beyond 2008, but you were definitely around during the 90s and 2000s. So let's take it back there and tell us what you guys were up to in that time.
Yeah, we've pretty much sort of been in and around the jungle drum and bass scene since it started. You know, it was raving away in the very early 90s, and I suppose when the rave scene split to sort of the 4x4 beats one side and the more the breakbeat side, particularly for me, I was just into the breakbeat. So yeah, you know, DJing, doing sort of the outdoor chilled forest local raves, buying the records, you know. So it was, yeah, we've been in it for a while, haven't we?
Yeah.
Was it more of a DJing then during the 90s then, was it?
Yeah, pretty much DJing was the start, and but was making tunes on things like on the Amiga, on Octanet, and just dropping beats down. But you know, back then it was really hard to link up with people, to learn. You know, there was no internet. It was pretty much you had to learn on your own, listen to music, and really try and make those beats to that standard. So there was many years when I was doing stuff, but it was not to the standard really.
And what was your influences there? What sort of, you know, what led you into the sort of style that you're listening to now, that you produce now, I should say? Because you can't really, I'm listening to your tunes now, you wouldn't really say that the 90s were so much of an influence. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I suppose, but you know, some of the early rave stuff, there was a lot of vocals in there was a lot of soul tunes, coming from sort of, I was listening to early house stuff and electro, and being pretty musical myself, and playing the guitar and playing the keys, things like that, it was just natural that you know it was going to come out with more music in the stuff that we produce. And it's not the only stuff, but I think we always thought, let's focus on one thing and let's get to a decent standard at it before we start trying to branch out and do other stuff.
Right. Because you could get. Sorry, what did you say?
No, it's just I think a good example of like influences going through to our sound and our music is we've got a tune coming out on Mars soon called there's a Top Science remix on one side, which we called Far Away. We did bring the other side, Flip, is called Days Running Out. When we wrote that, I remember you sent me over the tune and it had this Rolaz lick in it. It was lovely. And I found this vocal. It's just like the way the vocal works with the Rolaz. It's totally syncopated, so it's question and answer. And that for me was, when I listened to that was an inspiration listening to the kind of stuff that Masters had worked in the early 90s. And that was a big influence for me, was the kind of stuff that was happening through the late 80s and through the early 90s, what was happening in the house scene, the garage scene. The Masters had worked were just absolute genius. And that tune, when you hear that, there's so many parallels to the great stuff that Masters had worked in the early 90s. So you can hear influences in that sound.
I smells more like the music that you was like listening to or going to clubs and listening to. Because a lot of producers do still tend to hold on to that sort of club element that they heard in the 90s, for instance, like Dillinger, you know, them sort of bass lines, you're still producing them sort of bass lines, but you guys seem to have like evolved, I suppose the word is, you know, especially like you saying, I was talking about before, when you play the keys, you can hear that you play the keys.
Yeah. It's
not sampled and
I think, yeah, we've always tried to make sure that we bring the music to the and the keys and the vocals and that, but make sure that there's power, you know, and make sure that this bass, it's going to work in a club, because you know, we was listening to Jungle, we was listening to Dillinger, following the early V record stuff, all the early DJ Hype stuff, Gandhi records, all that. So you know, all those parts, all those different styles are an influence.
So let's talk about when you guys actually met, because did you have tracks out before after you became?
No, we work at the same place, and that's where we met. It was sort of a colleague of ours introduced. He knew that I was into drum and bass, and he says, "Oh yeah, meet James. James is into drum and bass." But we'd never met before, which is quite strange because we've both been in the Nottingham scene and we knew similar people as well.
Right.
And so we started talking, and to be honest, I'd spent a long time making music on my own, and I just needed somebody to bounce ideas off, to just you know, to share that vibe, to get excited about it. You know, you're on your own, and it's a bit like when you're DJing, you're in your bedroom, and it's good, you know, you're DJing, you've got someone stood behind you listening. All of a sudden, you know, it really makes a difference. And I think that's the same with producers. I met James, and that really helped, really fire things on and get some motivation and share that learning.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, for me, I'd always wanted to get into writing music, and I've been on so many different courses that were teaching me how to be a sound engineer or teaching me how to use Cubase, and I wasn't really getting what I wanted out of it. I really wanted somebody to be able to be a mentor, sit down, show me, do you know what I mean, the basics of how to arrange a track, how you would put together these sounds that I hear in these tracks in the club. When I met you, we explained it exactly right. A friend at work introduced us. Can't believe I never met him. There's so many people around the scene that I knew from going out, and I just never met him. And then it was just going through a process of going around to his, watching the way that Drew worked, looking at how he uses the software.
Well, it was a bit, you know, you were saying to me, wasn't you, saying I'm at college and I want to continue. But what I was hearing from him was like, I want to make music. I was like, well, if you want to make music, then let's just go and do that. You know, don't all the other stuff, all the learning about studios. That's really important stuff. But it's quite a separate thing. If you've got this energy that just to make music, you're going to get frustrated on a college course that is really concentrating more on the theory side. I know things have changed nowadays, and colleges are a lot more focused on making music. So, but back then it was very much theory based, and James just wanted to make some music, didn't he? The stuff that he was hearing. And
so what year was that when first?
11 years ago now, 12 years ago, something like that.
Do the calculation.
2000, yeah, it was 2000.
Right, so...
And it was good point in drum and bass as well, because it's when Total Science or sort of dropped their label CIA,
right.
And there was just this amazing wealth of breakbeat tunes coming back in the mix after the kind of tech step end of the 90s, and it was just all of a sudden everything seemed exciting.
It got me, yeah, it certainly got me back on it. You know, I was talking to you earlier about how maybe at a certain point in the late 90s, drum and bass it gone a little bit dark and tech step, and I didn't see the variation. But certainly that early Total Science stuff, getting back on, feeling those jungle, those break beats again, and then the early high contrast stuff. That was that just made me. I was like, wow, this is serious stuff. You know, he was picking out some really quality samples. It was soulful. It was rolling.
It's too much, that album, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, and that was it. It was just back on it.
Yeah, so that's where things actually really kicked in for you guys. It was like, right, this is where we're going to start production. So what was the first track then that you guys actually wrote on?
Well, we was doing stuff, we was working together, learning, but we were still writing stuff on our own. And I'm trying to think about our first, we decided to just join forces basically. We were doing stuff on our own, but I was like, actually, we can sort of dial into our strengths and really just get more output. And trying to think of the first track that we did together.
I think the first thing that we did together that actually that was a track that we finished together was Live. That was the one that I could remember.
Yeah.
It was the first one where it had both of our names on, and it was like we both put into that tune and gone, yeah, that's a tune, it's finished at the end. And then there was a couple of others we worked on, wasn't it? And
it was pretty much, we're just like sort of smaller labels, you know, digital downloads only, just to start getting a name out there and just to learn how the whole business works. And then probably shortly afterwards we was doing stuff with Rolling Times and things like So Strong, and they were starting getting a lot of DJ support, even though they didn't probably come out till quite a year or so later.
Right. So tell us a bit about been working with Nucky and LCJ Bookham and these sort of like really influential and monumental artists within drum and bass, and these guys are really tending to singling you guys out as being ones to watch and to listen to right now, because you guys are actually killing it. So how did it all pan out?
The first thing was really with Bookham. Made a track, and I wasn't sending everything to Bookham, but I made this one track and I thought, you know, this is right for good looking. I sent it out to him over AIM, and next thing I get this, hits me up on AIM, love this track, can I call you? Ringing on my home line, and you know, at the time he's one of the idols.
Yeah, cool.
So it was just it's one of them moments, one of those times when you just think, yeah, this is cool. So that happened, and it just gives you, it's one of those moments, I think, that just gives you that inspiration to go and do the next good thing. There's not always lots of money, and there's not lots of glamour, but those little things where you're heroes. You know, we've been in the scene since the day one, and people are ringing you up saying, yeah, I'm into your tune. And that's really important, because really all we've ever wanted to do is to leave a mark on the scene, to contribute, I think, to the scene that we've been in for so long. Just have a small contribution, and that was part of it, really. The nookie thing.
I think everybody will find this in any music scene, that there's a way that you use for communicating with other artists or labels. It could be aim and drum and bass, or it could be another kind of medium that you use for getting tunes around. And slowly but surely, you get more and more label aim names or artist names, or whatever it is. You start sending them tunes, and what happened with Nookie was we sent him over some tunes, and the next thing you know, he's messaging. It's like, wow, Nookie's messaging. He said he likes the tunes, and he's asking, can he put them on his ATM mix, and can he sign some? And we were just like, this is Nookie asking if you can put some on an ATM magazine mix, write a bit about us in it, and you want to sign some. And we were buzzing.
Yeah, of course.
So that was like a really big thing for us, and the words that the writer we put in there about us was just, it really helped us. Just in the, wow, we're really doing something good here, and we're getting some kind of like recognition.
Just reinforces that, you know, you're on the right track. There's potential, you're not wasting your time. And yeah, there's a couple of tracks that came out on the front covers, the CD to the ATM magazine, and from that point really we was in contact with him, and he signed a couple of our tracks, Rolling Times and Subtle Shaking, to put out on vinyl, which came, we was like, yeah, because we wanted to have a vinyl release. Yeah, it's really important for us. If it was just only one, you know, that's what we wanted, and yeah, it was great, because that Rolling Times was getting loads of support from Bookham at the time, from Mark. He put it on his Fabric Live CD. So yeah, that was the start of it, and we followed that up with a second 12 with Nookie, struck it down, and pleased me on the flip.
So that's when, like you say before, it's when the label started getting more interest, like re-recorded and quickly. And
that was very similar kind of experience with Brian when it came to the first track that he wanted to get with Big. It was like, we've done this track, haven't we? It was quite funny the way it happened. We were meeting Mark, he was going to be playing at Dogma in Nottingham. His plane was late, he didn't get over in time, so we met just before he was meant to go on. Took him down to the club and stuff. We've been hanging around your studio all afternoon, and rolling this track out. We're like, I was saying to you, we should do a track. Do you know what I mean? A track that's called.
Well, it's actually one of the few times we was in the studio together.
Yeah,
we started off at your place, didn't we? And then as the night went on, we went to mine. You know, I was going to get ready, and we were just finishing this track off, wasn't we?
We had a picture in our head of what the track was going to be like. It was going to be quite different from what we'd done, Beeline style and Steppy style, but it still had the liquid element to it. Right. And we were just rolling it, weren't we? It was kind of like a 6-hour project that we'd finished in the day. Go down, Mark is playing, and I was over at the back dancing with my mates and stuff, and all of a sudden this tune comes on. I was like dancing away thinking, I know that tune, I've heard it before. Then it gets a rewind, and I'm like, that's that tune. It's only 6 hours old. And Stuart got it on a memory stick and given it to Mark, put it on, got it in the mix straight away. Like, yeah, play it.
Like this.
And that was the track called I'm For Real.
Right.
And that was, we then finished it, polished it, got it to the right length and arrangement and stuff, sent it out to people like Andy C and Brian and stuff. Brian messaged me on I need to talk to you. Like, Bring G. Brian G wants to talk to us. Talked to him on the telephone, and he was frothing, going mad about it. We love this track, really excited. And Brian's he's such a passionate person. He's been in the scene so long, and he's still as excited as he was back then. And he's such a great bloke. He's got this really positive energy, and it's great to see it in the scene. Somebody that's so pivotal, brought so many big names through, and he's still excited about it.
Yeah, and he's really excited. It just shows he loves his music, and he's loving it. He talks about it, and he's excited about it. It's like it's the first drum and bass track he's ever heard. And it's just amazing. And when you got that kind of response, that just again, it just makes you go, yeah, this is motivational stuff.
Yeah.
And that was a real surprise for me. How keen and interested and how locked into the music he still was after all those years. And so we just followed that up, didn't we, with some few other tunes. We've built up the relationship. and yeah, that will continue with future releases with Liquid V.
Nicely onto actually the software you use and hardware that you use. You guys, you mentioned Amiga before, I suppose you've updated since that.
Yeah. took me a while, but you know, I had to put the Amiga down and all the steps.
Well, saying that though, we interviewed I think it was Aphrodite, he's still using the same computer that he used, I think, from the early 90s.
Yeah.
So a lot of people do stick with. So tell us a bit about the equipment that you guys are using.
Well, pretty much after Optimed, I saw FL Studio, I think back it was called Fruit at the time, and it had a step sequencer, and I saw some commonality, quite similar to Optimed, or the closest to it.
Right.
So I started learning that, and yeah, pretty much managed to get what we wanted out of it. Never found any major limitations. The software was progressing well, and that's the majority of our work's been done on that. Of late, we've been using Ableton a lot.
People switch to that.
Yeah, just the warping facilities on it, and it's quite a different sounding engine, but particularly just the warping samples and getting ideas down quick, nice sharp transient beats is really good for. So it's kind of a combination at the moment between the two, depending on what style of track we're really working on. But use other things as well, whether it's Logic or Cubase.
Do you use Logic for more the mastering sort of side?
No, not really, just purely for collaborations, being able to just drop project files in like for collaborating and then export the stems, but just to be able to understand the original track and get a feel for it in its original format. But no, it's usually straight bouncing straight out of FL Studio or Ableton, and then maybe a slight bit of mastering at the end.
Any sort of favourite VSTs or hardware that you really like to get involved with?
Not really. We tried to keep things simple. Went through stages where we was after all the plug-in after plug-in, but really just keep it simple now. Some EQing, simple reverbs, delays. Just try and get the
back to basics.
Yeah. Just get the volumes right, get the feel right, get the levels all sitting, and then it really is a case of the old mastering process through the track, and at the end of it, it's just trying to squeeze. If you're using it to export out and play out, then trying to squeeze a bit more loudness out of it, or so it's minimal stuff really.
Did you get the crossover?
So yeah, people ask us. I've been asked quite a few times. I know you have, Drew, about what do you do with your mastering and stuff like that. The one thing that Drew always, when I was learning and he was showing me what I should be doing, what the approach is, and how to get a good sound and get tight beats and stuff like that. It was all about just the keys and the detail. It's getting the transients right, the beats chopped right. It's about getting the levels right in your piece of production software, and not being concerned about having to do after mastering in something like SoundForge or something else.
Yeah.
It's all about if it's right when you're listening to it, then all you should be doing is adding volume, like you said, Drew, afterwards.
Yeah.
Did you think that's a good point to tell the truth? Because you find with a lot of music now, it's mastered to death, really, and it's been analog, is what I was going to ask you before. It's digital now, I should say. Were you guys using analog? Have you guys used or integrated with analog?
I never had a chance to use analog. I did at college, but I never had a chance to actually use it in the environment where it was right in tune for Drew. I missed out on all that because of the courses that I went on. It was all very specifically about learn how to use Keybase and be a sound engineer.
So it's very much digital all the way.
Yeah.
Because it seems there's a huge discrepancy really between the digital way, as far as digital you can push it, where analog, like after you said, you can push it that extra decibel, extra 2-3 decibels, knowing that it's not going to click like it does with digital. Yeah. Is this something that as well? Obviously you guys don't find that a problem because you balance everything before that happens, but what do you think about that in music in general, especially like these days?
I think there's always there is a difference between the old analog stuff. It was very forgiving on the low end and how things drive against it between the kick and the sub bass. You could really just push things and nothing would break up on the old analog stuff.
Yeah, true.
And I think that was the big change, certainly crossing over to digital. Because I had some old analog gear. I didn't really have any tracks that were produced to a great standard, but yeah, moving over to the digital, it was a whole new way of getting that weight on the bottom end.
so let's bring it right forward to present day now, where you guys are now. I know you've got quite a few releases coming out. Can you tell us a bit about them?
Yeah, we've been sort of, I don't know how long now, building the schedule and ongoing, so 12 months forward we've got releases planned out. Next thing up,
Mars 6, it's one we're really excited about.
What's the title from that? Because it was an extra long title. What's it?
There's Far Away, which is the dramatic and DB audio featuring Grip, Total Science remix of Far Away, and then Flip is Days When.
I know the one I'm thinking of actually. It's Dreams of Life and Death.
Right.
Oh yeah, that was an older release. That was on that was a digital release with the Liquid V, the earlier I'm For Real release. But yeah, the next one's the Mars one.
Yeah.
Unbelievable Total Science remix in one of her tracks, just brilliant. And not only that, it's just an awesome job. You know, they just really the style that I like. Great chord progression, amazing work that they've done with the vocal. You know, we handed them the vocal sample over and how they've moved it and they've changed it. Really clever. So we was just blown away with the remix, and yeah, we're glad to see that being released. And obviously on the Flip stage running out, which is one by us. James sort of about sort of Rhodes vocal style track, but quite heavy still. Really does work on the dance floor. What else have we got coming up?
Yeah, so after that, what we've got is there's our next release on Ingredients. So there's Missing Place. They've been doing a series. So Clive DJ Silence, who owns Mars and Ingredients, last year he did the Recipe Volume 1. And what he's done is reviewed the way he's going to do the album this year. He's doing a 3-part double pack.
Right.
So it's 2 pieces of vinyl coming out, part 1, part 2, part 3. One's dropping for hours. It's really exciting. We're alongside some really well-respected names on there. So Skeptical, Dub Physics, great remix, and then a tune that we've got called No Return that's coming out. They're proper, really reminiscent of the Metalheads kind of vibe, the steppy vibe.
Again, the No U-Turn feels, the Nico stuff, which is great because that's quite different to the stuff that people know us. And so it's quite nice to have something out on Ingredients. It's just totally different to our usual stuff, but it allows us to just go on a different flex. Yeah. We've done a track for David Boomer on his forthcoming LP on V Records.
Really honoured to be on that because Boomer, do you know what I mean? His vocal is so prevalent back in the 90s, do you know what I mean? Jungle days and stuff, and then to be talking with Brian and saying, oh, what do you reckon? Brian's asking us if he thinks it's to be right, David to put vocal over it, and we're like, yeah, that's wicked. And then David brings us up straight away and he's like really excited about it.
It worked really well, really fast.
Really fast, really quick turnaround. Wow. He's really happy to that, so is Brian, and yeah, we're excited about that. And then we've got a new label that we've just been signed to recently, doing really good things on the kind of Bookham style of sound, that kind of really nice deep rolling vibe. They're called Black Reflections Recording. Right. Really good guys from Madrid, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, mate Steve Dynamic's been on there, and yeah, just a great label, very much on the good-looking vibe, but doing real good music, and they're real passionate about it. So that was great to have a release on there. We've got some forthcoming bits up there. Obviously, we've got bits coming out on Good Looking, which is hopefully sometime soon. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Just about finished our next Liquid V. We've got 3 tracks done. Just need a 4th to finish that off, and that'll be early to middle next year.
Right. And there's lots of other bits in between that I'm sure we've got. There's Soul Deep Recordings, which has signed something with Flip. There's going to be Fernie on there, so it's another label that's coming through that are representing that kind of really nice, deep rolling sound, Bookham-esque kind of style.
So yeah, a lot of things in the pipeline.
Yeah, it's good because going forward, there's covered off in the schedule, and that really takes the pressure off having to force stuff. You know, you just take our time and think about what tracks you want to do, and then just enjoy it more without thinking I've got to fill the schedule. You know, you're trying to keep things out there, keep your name out there without being having too much there, and keep it relevant. Yeah, so things are doing well.
Innerground.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Just had a first release on Innerground, called Digital, and then one of the lads that are involved in the label from Madrid, Black Reflections Recordings, David R1. We've done a collaboration with him on 2 tunes. one's called Clash of the Kings, one's called Stormtrooper. We're getting amazing coverage from Booker and Marky straight away wanted them. So they're coming out on vinyl on Inner Ground early next year, so that's really
which is awesome.
For real, for real. Elek Tronique.